morning, everyone. Paula Mattisonsierra here, Power Marketing SF, for another episode of 10 at 10. Today we have on someone we've been wanting to interview for a while now. There's been so many technical issues, like the gods were like against us, but we persevered. Joe DeLucchi he's a CEO of Cal Insurance. How to create scalable business growth with amazing people. Of course, the show starts right now. We're just going to jump right into it. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Paula Mattisonsierra here, Power Marketing SF, and the host of 10 at 10. This morning, Joe DeLucci, CEO, Cal Insurance. It's a staple in San Francisco and nationally as well. There's so much going on with this company. And primarily, it's because of the growth of amazing people. Let's find out about how Joe does it exactly. So, Joe's coming on in. Joe, welcome.
Good morning, Paula.
I'm
Good to
so
see
glad
you
to
today.
finally have you on the show, sir. It's been a challenge.
It's all right. The technology gods are smiling down on us now.
I know, right? I know. But I think this was a wonderful example to showcase the entrepreneurs to be out there. That things happen and you just got to roll with it with a smile because what else are you going to do, right? So, Joe, I'm just going to jump right into it because I think with the issues that we had this morning, I think it's a perfect question to start off the show, which is how do you guys handle all of these, the growth that you've been going through, the ups and downs? How do you persevere through ups and downs? I mean, because insurance, you guys are going through some interesting things right now.
We are, particularly on our private client side, but also on my side, the commercial, working with multifamily assets. So we're talking about apartment complex schedules, and so forth. The property insurance market, not just in California, but in several other states, is extremely difficult. So, I mean, we're only as good as the team that we have and the team that we have built over the last few years. So I acquired Cal Insurance 8 years ago. So we'll be January 1, actually, I'll be entering my
Hi.
ninth year of ownership.
Oh,
And
your business is a Capricorn baby. Aw.
yes, definitely a Capricorn baby. The first year of acquisition, I really did not make any changes, any real disruption. The gentleman that I bought the firm from was still a part of it, and I didn't want to create this sense of there's a new sheriff in town sort of mentality. So the first year, I just really looked at the landscape of the organization and thought, all right, if we're going to grow and be sustainable in the long run, what kind of changes do we need to make as an organization? I mean, we are a very old organization in the sense that the firm was founded back in 1927. We're a
Oh,
very young organization in the sense that we made drastic changes over the last 7 years. So when I first bought Cal, we were probably about 27, 28 people and half the revenue. Now we're a few headcounts down from that with almost double the revenue. And it really was making adjustments with both personnel on the inside and creating a whole new culture for the organization as well.
well, let me stop you on that portion of it. You said creating an entirely new culture on the inside. Expand on that a little bit for me because I know you started, like you said, with a much larger team, and now you broke
We,
that down. So it's a much smaller group, but sounds like
it's not. I think we're about 26 people, but we completely changed the internal makeup of the organization because we had to evolve in order to get to that next level. So we looked at who was seated on the bus, were they in the right seats, and we made a lot of adjustments with that too. But it comes down to culture. And the culture of the organization was very old school at the time, which was fine. I mean, that was appropriate and for the times, but we needed to change in order to really be able to reposition ourselves and grow. And so there wasn't really before I took over, there weren't really core values to the organization. We really didn't have a mission statement. And so we needed to take a step back, evaluate everybody that was on the team, and kind of figure who's going to be with us on this next journey as we go to Cal, what we call Cal 2.0. And some folks self-selected out, which was perfectly fine. Others, we kind of just had to move out of the organization and really just rebuild, finding some of the best and bright talent in the US. In the pandemic, while it was rough, Paula, opened up my eyes to a few different things. One, before the pandemic, I thought remote work was silly. I thought it was nonsensical. I thought it was going to be an excuse for folks just to screw around and what have you. I learned, because we had to pivot quickly, that we can do great work wherever we are in the United States. And it opened up our talent pool. So all of a sudden, we weren't just looking at folks within the Bay Area. Geographically, we were looking at folks across the US. And now we have, somebody in Nevada, somebody in Texas, somebody in Iowa, somebody in Kansas, not Iowa, Idaho, somebody in Tennessee, a bunch of folks in Southern California, down the coast here, and then also the San Francisco Bay Area. So it's been, the good things that have come out of the pandemic were that we could do great work wherever if we set it up in the right way. And to create a culture, we had to pivot from our culture of being in the office to now Teams and Zoom and breaking into pods and so forth. So we made some major adjustments on the fly.
Let me ask you a question, because you said we really had to kind of like sum down and figure out our mission statement. Does the entire team understand the mission statement? How do you impart that to make sure that everyone is marching to the same pace? I mean, I know there are companies where the mission statement is on the wall and no one knows the mission statement.
We started out with 8 unmemorable core values, and we revamped those to make it 5 memorable core values. And during the hiring process and during the onboarding process, those 5, along with our mission, which is complexity simplified. We used to have like 2 paragraphs long. Like, no, let's scratch that. We're going to make it complexity simplified. We are dealing with insurance is complex. Hardly anybody reads the policies. Our job, right, is as an insurance advisory group, and there's a big difference between being an insurance advisor and being an insurance broker.
What's the difference?
An insurance broker is going to be more of an order taker. They're not really a partner to it. It's very, very transactional, right? And that's a model that's out there, and it's a fine model. It's just not our model, right? Our model is more on the consultative side of things. And what I stress to our folks on our team is we need to put ourselves inside the business that we're representing, or inside the successful family that we're representing. When we're making suggestions on proper insurance or proper limits or what have you, it's like, I want you to think as if you were the business owner as well. And just your superpower is you just happen to know insurance. And so are you satisfied with what is being lined up for the client? If you were a stakeholder in this business or in this real estate investment group or in this successful family, would you be proud of the program that you put together? And we also, on the simplistic side of things, we take the difficult insurance concepts, and another superpower is we're able to translate it into everyday human language. Because the insurance policies thy giveth, and then they also taketh. And so if our policyholders, if our clients are empowered in understanding their insurance program, we as an advisor have done a really good job for them. And that's where we're a referral-based organization.
So we have a lot of people who listen to the show, and we have brand new entrepreneurs. We have people who are just launching, pre-venture, self-funded, further in. Is the things that you guys are doing to make these wonderful changes to your company, is it applicable to other businesses?
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that too, especially if we're working, we love early stage, and we also love growing and scaling. If it's kind of static and there's not much happening, it's like we can help out, but we can really do our best work with early stage as they're going through the funding and so forth, or growing and scaling as they're just taking on, new employees and new locations, and it's just a dynamic business. So I think, as we're having those conversations with them, on the broker side, again, it's going to be a transactional order taking type of thing. But when you position yourself as the advisor, you're really positioning yourself as a partner within that business, within that organization, right? And so, we're also making key introductions to folks, because we're not just staying in that insurance lane. We're talking to them about several other factors in their business. So if there's a need for a fractional CFO to get in there, or there's a need for an employment attorney, or a need for, outsourced human resources or IT, we have all of those connections at our fingertips. Marketing, Paula, the marketing. We have all those connections at our fingertips that we can help plug into the client. And it's funny, we do it one time, they all of a sudden are coming back to us for every particular need that business might have. And that just kind of, if you do it right in this business, I talk about this often inside of my own firm, which is your friends become your clients and your clients become your friends.
Hey, Joe, how do you view failure? I mean, as we go through on this entrepreneurial journey, we go through some ups and downs. How do you view failure?
Failures. This is the same thing I tell my kids. You're going to have W's and L's in life. That's just inevitable. But the thing is, you want to have more W's than L's. But when those L's happen, and they will happen, you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get right back into it. And I think you really have those two choices. You can sit there and wallow in the failure and say, oh, this is horrific, and start blaming other people too. Or you can choose the other route of get yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get back at it and figure out with your team, what went wrong here? What did we do well, but where did we fail? And then we're going to improve upon that, right? And that's life. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if it's the family dynamic. It's all the same. You're gonna have W's, you're gonna have L's, but it's how you respond to both. How you respond to the W's and how you respond to the L's, which is going to set you apart from so many others.
How do you stay motivated in, we've been through some crazy stuff, but there's been some wonderful things that have come out of it as well. If you have your eyes on the right prize, how do you stay motivated and focused during challenging times as an entrepreneur?
I'm very goal driven. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are very goal driven. So you're going to be planning your year or planning your 5-year program or what have you with very specific metrics, right? We're here now. We want to get here. Now, what are the steps? But it's also not a one-person gig. You have to have a peer group. There should be, for an entrepreneur, like a Vistage or some sort of industry peer group, whatever it is, on the EO organization or YPO, you want to have that, but you also want to have your internal folks too, where, I see a lot of mistakes happening where people try to take on too much without having more of a collaborative approach, both inside their organization and then externally too. And if you have that, you can't help but succeed. I really, truly believe that.
Do you believe then that mentors are also important as well within that peer group?
Oh, absolutely. And when you're entering that peer group, you're the new kid on the block, right? And so there are seasoned folks. I mean, that was part of how I was able to be in a position to acquire Cal. I went to an industry peer group. And I had been with that group for a couple of years, knowing that I was a succession plan for the organization. And so I was able to pick the brains of people that had run their own firms for 5, 10, 20, 25 years, and meet some folks within the community here to figure out, and they were gracious with their time too, of what was successful for them when they first bought the firm. Where did they stub their toe? What do they wish they could have done better? And to be able to take that information from so many different sources and then really boil it down to what was important to me and what resonated the most with me, that was just, having that sort of support is just so essential, I think, for any entrepreneur.
Have you always had this energy? 'Cause, whenever I speak to entrepreneurs, there was a lemonade stand, people are mowing grass, They were on teams. Have you always had this energy and this viewpoint as you look at the world?
I have, but like anything, family helps mold that, right? So my parents were very instrumental in shaping, who I am today, right? And always, helping me stay motivated. But I had that entrepreneurial mindset as well as a young kid. So I, used the dot matrix printer to make up flyers for babysitting gigs, or you name it. I would do any of the odd jobs in the neighborhood, whatever was necessary. And then I think I started working probably 14 years old. Just getting on, because at that time I think you could get on a W-2, or I think I was even
Mhm.
paid under the table for some of the gigs, $5 an hour, sort of thing. But yeah, I've always been driven by the sense that money equals freedom. Like, you don't have to rely on your parents for everything. You should be
Mhm.
able to go out and get your own thing going, so that
Yeah, yeah,
you have a little bit more freedom in your discretionary spend and so forth. So I think it's important to branch away as early as you can, and start out as a dishwasher. I mean,
yeah,
I was a
yeah,
dishwasher. That's one of the gigs I had when I was 15,
yeah,
16
yeah,
years old. And I believe that's really essential, to start out like that, and then kind of realize what you do and you don't want to do in life,
yeah.
and
You
adjust
can't start at
accordingly.
the top, right? It's like you're a
No,
kid, go learn. It's okay. It's fine. And be curious, ask questions.
intellectual curiosity is key. That's something I look for in our own team when we're interviewing folks. Whereas, are they the ideal team player? And the ideal team player meaning that they're hungry, humble, and smart, right?
Mm,
Hungry in the sense that also that incorporates intellectual curiosity. I want to learn more. I want to be a better professional. Humble in the sense that we have a no a-hole policy, right? So a-holes are not allowed on the team. So you got to come from, with a humble heart, hungry, humble, and smart. And smart too, I'm not talking about, magna cum laude, although that's cool.
yeah.
But again, it goes back to that intellectual curiosity, or putting yourself in the client's shoes, being able to read the room, what's appropriate to say, what's not appropriate to say. A lot of those little things that kind of separate folks from one another.
Yeah, there's a wonderful. I love this book, Good to Great Companies, and there is a thought line in it that says, you want to hire people who are disciplined and kind, because you can't teach kind.
No.
And I think E-Myth also kind of talks about the same thing as well, about I'd rather someone who just has great customer service sensibility, because I can teach them everything else. When you're hiring and building your team, are you looking at people who are massively experienced, or are you looking at people that are just trainable, who will work well with the client? Like, what are you looking for? Is that part of your process as you're building your team?
Well, the hungry, humble, and smart part is definitely a factor that goes into it. And we're looking for all levels of experience too, depending on the role. Some roles require a heavy amount of client experience already, and a heavy amount of insurance knowledge. Other roles are more developmental roles, right? Where we'll take somebody that's maybe earlier in their career, and start them at one position. But then the idea is that we're going to be able to move them up. They're going to be able to learn. But there's also the intangibles too. We another thing I talk about internally is attitude, preparation, and effort. APE, and people either have it, or they
Are they
so are
don't?
they coming with the right attitude? Are they prepared? And do they put forth maximum effort? And
Nice.
that too is something that we look for, and we discuss during the hiring process as well.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, I love that. And I know this part isn't politically correct for some people to hear, but I love that your team spans everything, all religions, all looks, all fields. It's like all these wonderful voices with all of these experiences coming in and just rocking it together. I have to say, I love that about your team. Absolutely.
We just want good people, and we want to also be reflective of the community that we're headquartered in. But yeah, I don't care about
Yeah.
male versus female,
It's
any of
like,
that.
are
We
are
just want
do they fit the frame?
the best people that can that see the same vision that I see, that can fit into this culture, that can adhere to our core values, that have the hungry, humble, and smart, and the attitude, the preparation, and the effort. Right? That's who we want. And if we have those people, and we do have those people on our team, that's a main reason. That's a main reason why we kind of shrunk headcount just a little bit. We
Yeah, yeah,
reevaluated roles, and we essentially doubled our revenue in the
yeah.
last 7 years. And
If
it's a team sport, Paula.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always love that when people say that they're self-made men or women. A couple of years ago, it just hit me. It's like, wait, there is no such thing. You are absolutely BSing right now because you needed even your secretary to help you organize your day, and your CPA and your CFO and the team that helps you grow your monies and grow your business, you know? But let me ask you like a little side question here. If you bumped into, I don't know, like your 16-year-old self, um, what advice would you give that kid? Because he's hungry, he's hustling, he's
Yeah.
busy with a dot matrix printer printing some flyers, you know? What would you say to that kid?
Keep at it, kid, and don't give up. There's going to be frustrations in life, but surround yourself with the right people, right? And going back to your point earlier of the team, I mean, that's the famous quote or the famous speech from the former late great University of Michigan football coach, Bo Schembechler, which was the team, the team, the team. No one person is more important than the team. Okay.
Wonderful.
And if you go in with that mindset and with that attitude, I think you're going to really be putting yourself in a position to be successful.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I'm hearing is don't be bashful about weeding. It's okay. Someone's not part of the team. It's okay. You
It
know,
is
it's like maybe they're
perfectly
better for
fine.
someone else's team.
And my vision is not everybody's vision,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But we've been able to find the right people over the last 7 years that do share that particular vision.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. One of the things that I met someone, this was like a month ago. He was like, oh, I don't have time for reading. I don't think I ever heard anyone say that so comfortably. But personal development, um, how do you integrate it into your busy schedule? I mean, you're doing a lot. You're almost about to rule the country right now. So how do you find time for that balance, personal development? I know you're a family man, like, and your business and your team. They swamped me with comments when I posted this the first time. Um, how do you keep that balance going for yourself?
You make the time, and there excuses drive me nuts. Everybody can have an excuse for anything, right? Oh, I'm too busy. I can't get to this. First of all, family comes first, right? I am not ever going to miss out on a kid's game or performance or school showing, whatever it is. That is first and foremost the biggest priority, and people really need to make time for that. And I think, certainly on our team, people do make time for that. We're very flexible too. It's not we're not a 9 to 5 type business. It's, you know what, you got to go run an errand or take care of your kid. We just expect people to be big boys and big girls and handle their business and be responsive to the client. We're not going to micromanage. And if we are micromanaging you, then it's not working. And we're going to have to make other adjustments, right? But you have to, in order to be able to provide for your family or be the leader of a business, you also have to take self-care. And that's something that I learned the hard way. I was not doing I was making excuses for why I couldn't take care of myself the same way that I'm taking care of the business and growing the business. And just over a year ago, I had a transformation where, I looked at a picture my wife had posted of my son's 15th birthday. We were hosting family over, and oh boy, had I put on it was disgusting. I was disgusted with the picture I saw. And it coincided with the doctor's appointment, just like randomly the next day, where the guy was like, here we are. What's
Yeah.
your exit plan? Because if you keep this up, you will not be long for this world.
Wow. He went at you like that.
He did. And I needed
Oh,
that.
wow.
I needed that. I needed
Yeah.
that talking to.
But
And
you
so
had to be ready to hear that, though. You know what I mean? It's like everything was lining up, though. You know what I
December
mean?
7th, December 7th of 2022 changed my life. And
You
I
look good, by the way.
immediately,
I meant to say that because I'm like, I literally, when we bumped into each other at the social event, networking event, I walked by you and I'm like, wait, that was Joe.
yeah, as my wife says, I dropped a second grader. So I lost about 65 to 70 pounds. And so, I mean,
I
it's
like
one thing to lose it. It's another thing to maintain the new healthy lifestyle. And
that.
so I made changes and there's no excuses. My workout schedule is defined. I'm a geek. So I track and record things. So I'm as again, goal oriented, which I mentioned earlier. It's like every day I'm looking at, okay, what I do the day before, what I do the week before. All right, let's do a little bit more. The elliptical got moved right next to my bed. There's no excuse to
You
not be
get
on
it.
it at least once or twice a day,
Yeah.
right? And so the self care, I'm glad you brought that up, is so important. I feel better. I think I'm a better leader. I know I'm a better leader because
Oh,
of this too. But you got to schedule the time. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger has, the video that broke the internet where he's breaking down the 24-hour day, and he does
yeah.
it masterfully. And I show my family, I'm like, kids, watch this video. This is really inspirational.
Yeah.
And when you listen to Arnold talk and he breaks down that 24-hour day, you can't help but go, oh yeah, I mean, this is silly. Why why am I not taking self-care? Look
Yeah.
at all this time.
Yeah, yeah. I love when he went into like what he used to do. Like, it's like I go to school, I take a class, I go work out, I do this. It's like all my 24 hours was scheduled. I
Yeah.
love that speech as well. So as we wrap up, because this 30-minute show, it's like, because I feel like there's so many more questions I want to ask. But what advice would you give to business owners right there, right now, who are, I know some industries are faring better in this time of change than others. People are making changes, people are pivoting. What advice do you give to folks out there as they're making these changes?
I think it goes back to, again, finding that group of peers. You need to have your own external board of advisors, right? And that's where that peer group comes in so handy. And if you're trying to take on everything by yourself, if you're not a believer in corporate culture, you're way behind. You're probably not setting yourself up to be successful. You
Mm,
got to stay motivated, right?
yeah.
You're going to get knocked down, so you just get right back up again. But also surround yourself with some of the best and the brightest that you know, whether it's in your industry or industry agnostic, but just meeting other great people. And
Mm,
find that crew that you can be vulnerable with, right? You can be very, very open with. I am struggling with. I am having difficulty solving X. People inherently want to help other people, as long as they're good people, right? Good
mm,
people want to help other good people out.
yeah.
So if you're vulnerable out there, if you're communicating with your peer group, if you're opening up the kimono and just saying, these are the struggles I'm having, I think that you're putting yourself in position to be successful, not just short term, but long term.
I love it. And what's next for Joe and Cal Insurance? I mean, because again, I've watched all of these changes over the last seven. I can't believe it's 7 years. Um, what's next?
We're going to continue what we're doing, right? We're going to continue at home, leading a healthy lifestyle, encouraging the kids as well, right? As they're in their teenage years right
Oh,
now and making wise choices, healthy habits. But on the business side too, continuing to grow, because I think really in business you're either growing or there's an issue. So we want to have continued growth with the right people and the right culture. I was talking this morning in a different organization where, something that really was pivotal in my career as a business leader and owner was understanding that your culture is defined by the worst behavior that management openly tolerates. Right.
mm,
And that hit home a couple of years ago. We
mm,
brought somebody into the organization that turned out to be a cancer in the
mm,
organization and
yeah.
really a drain on our culture. And I'll tell you, you get knocked back, a lot of yardage you get
Yeah.
knocked back, and it takes
Yeah.
time to
Yeah.
repair that.
Yeah.
But also as a leader, to recognize where I failed and to be sure that that failure doesn't happen again. And
Yeah.
it goes back to that peer support group, because without that in my life, um, I don't know what trajectory we'd be on, but I don't think it'd be the same trajectory.
Mm. It's funny, because there's certain people can come in, and really destroy that one person,
One, one.
and then you start losing great people because they have options, right?
Yep.
And then what's left behind are the people who don't feel like they have any options. So your organization changes. It's like, seen it, done it.
And I'm open. I'm happy to share my failures with others. And believe me, there are plenty of them, right? But talk about the failures, learn and grow from that, and celebrate the successes.
I
Why not?
love it. I love it. I think failures are either a gift or a lesson.
Mhm.
Jump on them either way. So, Joe, it's been like amazing. Finally having you on the show. I was so nervous about asking you. Thank you for all these lessons, because I think it's so important. We all have a piece of this puzzle out there. We're like a hive mind. Why not share it with each other and up level everyone? It's like, the information's in front of you. You can either take it or not.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
as always, please reach out to Cal Insurance, reach out to Joe, for one-to-one if you guys are interested in learning more about him. Don't you guys have like a great newsletter that you put out on a monthly basis now?
Well, we do have a weekly
A weekly?
one that recap that goes, and it's mainly articles or we're opining on something in the insurance market. So we post on LinkedIn, it goes onto our blog, and then there's an email newsletter that'll recap the links on our blog for the weekly stories that are
Can you
interesting.
Can you send me that link so I'll share it, so if folks need to, again, lots going on. You really do need an insurance consultant. And
Yes.
I love the explanation. Never heard it put that way before. Um, as always, guys, my continued mission is to introduce you to everyday experts and business owners who will share their expertise and experience openly and very clearly, in order to move you forward and inspire you. And this is just our share. This is just my share. So we here every Thursday, 10 a.m. live. Sometimes we're a little late. Don't judge. Don't judge. You know. Um, and so, Joe, do you have a quote that you're known for that the team just always hears you saying over and over again? I mean, I have another one as well, but I'm like, I'd love to hear something that everyone's like, oh, Joe always says that.
Well, I've used them up this morning with the attitude, the preparation, and the effort, the hungry, humble, and smart. That's often what I say, but I also have a morning greeting for the folks, and I usually sign off with "Go get them." So I encourage everybody to go out there and go get them
I
today and
love
tomorrow.
it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you to the viewers. You continue to amaze me. Stay strong. Keep moving forward. And thank you so much. Take care,
Thank you,
everyone.
Paula.
Bye. And we're out.